Welcome to the Conservation Learning Center's 2020 Virtual Field Day. We are releasing a series of videos that showcase some of our current research and demonstration here on site. Thank you to our Field Day sponsors, the Saskatchewan Wheat Development Commission and the Saskatchewan Flax Development Commission, as well as all of our other funders who support research here on site. This project, we're looking at canola salt tolerance of varying seed size. This is a single-year adopt-funded trial. And we have Allie Noble here with us, who is the Crops Extension Specialist out of the Prince Albert office with the Saskatchewan Ministry of Agriculture.
So right behind us here we have the plots that Robin just introduced. These were picked because they are on a saline area at the CLC, which means that they're a bit more likely to show some results for this guy. Before the plots were actually seeded, the staff here went through and did EM38 readings in order to find out the electric conductivity and find out where there was more severe areas for salinity and where there was lower salinity areas. So also before they did that, they went ahead and did 3 soil tests. So they did one at the front of the plots here, one about halfway down, and then one at the far end. And then right here we're looking at our 6 different treatments. So the first treatment we have is DeKalb TrueFlex Canola 92SC. It's the check, and you can see the TKW on it is 4.72. For the second treatment here, we have A for the DeKalb TrueFlex. It's a 92SC again, and it's 3.64 for a TKW. The third treatment is the B version of the DeKalb TrueFlex Canola. So that's the 92SC again, and it's a 4.68 TKW. And then our fourth treatment here is the DeKalb TrueFlex 92SC, and that is the 5.44 TKW. So that's the 1,000 kernel weight for those guys. And then we also have DeKalb 7565. That's just to have a non-biased comparison in there. And then our last treatment is just a basic barley, so it's CDC Austinson, and we're using that as barley is typically really good in saline areas, so we're going to compare that with our different canola plots we have out here today. So the plots were seeded on June 3rd with the CLC's Fabro plot seeder. The barley was put in at a seeding depth of 1.25 inches, and the canola was seeded at a 0.75 inches depth. And then along with that, they were put down with a fertility rate of 70 pounds per acre and 25 pounds per acre of phos for the canola. And for the barley, there was 40 pounds per acre of nitrogen and 25 pounds per acre of phosphorus put down with it. The row spacing on these guys is 10 inches. And it was seeded with a double disc opener. The previous stubble on here was canola. So what they found is after the seeding date on June 3rd they first emerged around June 12th, and it was approximately 3 weeks after that that they did their first plant counts out here. So they're going to be doing plant counts throughout the season to see how the crop emergence and establishment has been affected based on the salinity levels in the soil here. So along with that, they also had glyphosate applied to the canola on June 30th, and stellar was applied to the barley on June 3rd here. It's important to note that when looking at these plots, some of the barley was hit with some glyphosate during those spray applications. So along with that, when they were doing their seeding rates, they were aiming for 10 seeds per square foot for all of the canola trials. So they used the TKWs there to figure out exactly how much they needed to put in. And then for the barley, they were aiming for 20 seeds per square foot. Further along in the season, the staff here are going to continue with final plant density counts, plant height based on the EM38 rating that they've taken up, and then they will be doing, they will be taking data to see the maturity at 60% seed color change, along with biomass yield and the seed yield from each of the plots to see how the salinity has affected it. The other few things that they've noticed throughout the growing season with this trial is the plant counts. When we were looking at the severity of it, the higher salinity levels definitely had lower plant counts, but we're just waiting on the final data numbers to be crunched there. Along with that, they've also found that there's a lot of foxtail barley in this, and that definitely is an indicator of just how saline the area is. Foxtail barley is able to grow well in these areas. So along with that, and why this treatment is really important for this area, is producers have been dealing with high moisture levels the past several years. And when we have those high moisture levels, we'll actually see that the surface water and the groundwater rise. And when they rise, they're bringing those dissolved salts up into the rooting zone of the cropping area. So that'll affect crops' emergence and establishment, and we're hoping that with the bigger seed size we see with some of these canola varieties coming out, that it'll have increased seedling size, and then along with that, hopefully get some better establishment in the adverse conditions they're currently growing in. Alrighty, so you're joining me here in the middle of the plots. Right here we can see we have a barley treatment, and then on either side of us we have the canola treatments. What you will notice is these white flags that say S down here. And those flags were actually put out by the CLC staff members in order to signify that this is a site that has severe salinity issues in it. And so that's why we're actually seeing, as you can tell in the barley and on the canola on both sides, that we have stunted crop establishment. It's definitely running lower, and we also have less seeds coming up. So this is an example of what we'll typically see in the saline area. It'll be really interesting once we get the data back at the end of the season to see which of the canola treatments did best here. And then the other important piece to remember when we're talking about these canola treatments is that they have different thousand kernel weights. So that's actually based on the seed size that we have from the bag. With the different seed size, our thought is that the larger the seed size, they typically have bigger seedlings with a bit more vigor with them. And that means that in adverse conditions, such as salinity here, we should be able to see some better establishment. So it'll be interesting once we get the numbers back to actually find out what happened.